so important that for an actor, observe life, because those are the tools that you are going to need. Basically, you have to then act, then react.
Welcome to the Legends Corner TMS family, and now you're about to join me as I delve into the mind of one of Africa's most celebrated actors. I'm talking about Sello Maake KaNcube, and today he joins us for the Legends Corner Masterclass. Let's go check it out. Sello, you know, when I look at your journey of 40 years, I mean, when you were 15, this big decision came. Where exactly did that point happen for you when you decided, you know what, there's something happening here, that it's not just going to be a hobby, but this is going to be something that I do for the rest of my life?
In 1975, I see How Long, Gibson Kente's How Long. And that was a turning point. I had never seen a play ever in my life. And I saw How Long, and I just kept on mimicking what I was seeing. I had cousins who were in late teens. I mean, I was just 15, you know, but they were, you know, older teens, 18, 19, and they were doing a play. And some of them became well known for themselves, friends of my cousin. One is Len Maseko, who basically was the editor, and I think it is the editor of Mirror now, and was the, I think, editor of Sowetan. And the other one is Robert Magwaza, who is a photographer. Yes, so I mean, those were the people who basically said, hey, Malentwana ngati ne talent, and got me involved in their playing. And started writing me in, because there was no part for me, but because I was always coming to them. I said, because we were together when we went to watch How Long, you know, and I would keep saying, hey, but you remember when Africa came and he did this? And then, you know, and then one of them said, hey, man, that's if again we played. And they started writing me in. My very first performance on stage was in 1976, in Naledi Hall. I remember it was even before schools opened in January. You know, so that is where it all started. I have an uncle who basically, Uncle Rangwane, his name is Kenny Majosi. He played the lead in Sikalo, Gibson Kente's Sikalo, you know what I mean? So, and he did some other, you know, Uteli with a movie. He's there in it. So I've got an uncle who's an actor, and he's the one I actually, when I was now feeling orne, and I went to him and I said, hey, you know, act, you know. And he was very, very, very flamboyant, you know. He gave me 2 lessons. First, he described what drama is. And he said, drama is the human condition in action and dialogue on stage. And then again, he said, he broke down the word actor for me. And he said, A stands for action, C stands for creativity, T stands for technique, O stands for observation, R stands for reaction. All these 5 things you use as an actor. We'll get into depth with that when we do the masterclass. Theater doesn't pay much. So that's when I transitioned and went into television. And that was a very interesting transition as well. And for the longest of time, I wasn't getting booked.
Sure.
And bro, it hit on my confidence big time. And I was like, God, how come? I mean, I've just done this international hit. Was out there? I mean, how can I not? You know what I mean? But, and I remember one time I was coming from an audition and I was feeling like this. And it was one of those auditions, you go in, you audition, and as you walk out, you know you didn't get it. You know? And I walked home, you know, feeling like that. And on my way home, I beelined into a video shop. And I started browsing and I looked for videos. And for some reason, I pulled out 5 videos of Jack Nicholson. I pulled out Terms of Endearment, The Princess Honor, Chinatown, One Flew Over Cuckoo's Nest, and The Shining. And I went home and I watched them, I think one after. I'm just depressed and I'm trying to, And I remember after watching them all, coming to this conclusion, I haven't started acting. Because when you look at Jack Nicholson in One Flew Over Cuckoo's Nest, in Chinatown, in Princess Own, Thames of the, that guy, brutal.
You had quite the selection.
And you realize, hey man, this guy is transforming. So I actually watched transformation on one night. Or maybe just, or maybe just on one night. And I realized now I've got to, get down into learning the craft of acting.
Yeah. As we're stepping into our masterclass, how to is the first point that I would like to look at, is portraying a character who's very different to who I am as a character, portraying a character who's a contrast to who I am. How does one do that?
You see, now we'll go back. Let's go back to ACTOR. Let's go back to that. A stands for action. C stands for creativity. T stands for technique. O stands for observation. R stands for reaction. All these 5 things you use as an actor. The most important is observation. Before I even take you to any other things, I ask the student to observe life. And you observe life outside you, which means other people. And you observe life inside of you. And inside of you, it is just basically how you react to different situations. You study how, when you are in a state of fear, you study yourself when you are in a state of inquisition. All the different states that you can be in life. You observe yourself, so I'm like this when I'm angry. You observe, kwatile. I'm like this. You observe that. And basically, because as an actor, one thing that you are a storage of human experiences or human sensations. So, when you know the taste of ice cream or chocolate, and once you see it, you know how children are, when they remember the sensation of ubumnandi chocolate or ubumnandi sweetie or in, and they will cry for it. And it's all because, an addiction even in itself. You know what I mean? The body has got an inbuilt sense of truth. That is why even people who were into drugs and they relapse, what is it that causes the relapse? It is the body remembering the sensation when you see somebody, either taking in cocaine or whatever. That is why when somebody is on a recovery period, they would actually don't want to be in the company of those. So as an actor, you learn those sensations. The body has got an inbuilt sense of truth. So you learn life outside, life inside. And now when you start learning it and remembering it, then you develop a technique. You see what I mean? Because when you remember it and you do it, as you remember it, you develop a technique of how to remember things. That's the technique. It's so important that for an actor, observe life, because those are the tools that you are going to need, and basically you have to then act, then react, but creativity, technique, and observation, those are the middle part. Observation is more important. Then you end up developing a technique. Then out of observation, then that's how you become creative. And now here's the other thing. People, actors, we always talk about, when I get into character, There's no getting into character. Character is defined by actions. That you are an interviewer, you're doing the actions now as you are interviewing me.
Yes.
Of an interviewer. The cameramen are doing the actions of cameramen. Do they have to get into character to do that?
No.
They're just following the actions. They're just there following and making sure that they put me in frame and adjust whatever. They're doing the necessary actions. Yeah. They don't have to get, I'm going to play a cameraman. The writers have written them in such a way that their journey starts here and it ends there. My life is continuous from the moment I was born. And what I do when I play a character, I'm basically borrowing the words on the paper, me, my, shape, the sound of my voice, my gestures, everything. I'm borrowing these words on the paper, which the writer has written a series of actions that this character does this, and does this, and does this, and does this. So I'm just going and borrowing those actions and giving them life through my memory of, or if this person is in love with this one, how do I play love? And then I play love as I know how to play love. When we say we are getting into character, what we want to say is we are focusing so much on these series of actions that we completely forget about everything else. And that is just concentration.
Yeah. So I love that.
An activity again in repose, you see it with musicians, pianists who knows his instrument. And they will and they even played with their eyes closed, but they know. And actors, I think we got to know ourselves and our feelings and our thoughts, how we function. Like a musician learns their instrument, because as an actor, what you have is your body. That is your instrument. How well do you know it? And a musician, again, when you ask them to play a song, a note, they don't say, I want to get into character first. You know what I mean? And I think actors, we got to train or be trained in such a way that we are able to execute everything that we do on demand. It is all about being believable. As actors, we are supposed to be the mirrors of our society. And basically, it means we've got to be the clear mirrors, not the distorted mirrors. So that when society looks at itself through us, a person should see themselves and say, I need to fix that. And when somebody looks at the mirror, they're looking at it in order to fix. You look at yourself, I'm a button, so that we're more poor, you are proper. And theater should serve that. When people look at shows, at stories, they should see themselves in the character the characters that are being portrayed. So here's another thing now that I have come to the conclusion of, that acting basically is just a science that can be learned. Science, there's, for instance, natural science, which is what scientists do, observing, diseases, all other things, about Thomas Edison. They observed, and basically natural scientists goes through 5 stages in their process. First, they observe, they experiment, they classify, they deduct, and they are left with knowledge. After that deduction, after that going this. Now, as an actor, basically you're working in the divine science. You know what I mean? And basically, instead of observing, you are self-introspecting. You are self-analyzing. And then from there, you basically go to a stage of acting righteously. Doing right what you have observed. At the end of the day, you come with knowledge. So as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't really need talent. If you've got it, that is an extra. But you can be taught how to act.